layer 2 or not layer 2? That is the question. What is Polygon? How is it helping Ethereum? And does it have what it takes to remain one of the world's most popular networks? Welcome to Word on the Block, the series that takes a deeper dive into blockchain and the emerging technologies that shape our world at the intersection of business, politics, and economy. It's what we cover right here on Forkast.News. I'm Forkast Editor In Chief, Angie Lau. Well, some in crypto will say Bitcoin is the most important innovation in modern history. On the other side of the coin, you can also hear the case of the original smart contract blockchain, Ethereum. Ethereum has brought decentralized finance, NFTs, metaverses, and so many other imaginations into reality. But not even the mighty Ethereum can build a whole world on its own. Good thing it has some friends. Projects from all around the world are gathering to scale Ethereum. But as stated by Vitalik Buterin's scalability trilemma, scaling must come at a sacrifice. And today, we learn more about this world. We're joined by the co-founder and COO of Ethereum scaling solution and aggregator Polygon, one of the fastest growing layer 2 platforms to date, Sandeep Nailwal. Sandeep, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me here, Angie. Very excited for this talk.
It is great to have you. Now, where are you talking to us from?
I'm currently in Dubai, UAE.
You guys came out of nowhere, really took the blockchain industry by storm. And it really seemed like it was an overnight sensation. But I know that it took years of hard work. Tell us about those early days when you were building Polygon. A few hundred hackathons, probably a lot more no's than that. And how did it all happen?
Yeah, I mean, I think Lionel Messi had said it that it took me 10 years to become an overnight success, right? So yeah, I mean, with Polygon also, it has been the same story. We have been around since end of 2017, I think, and we have been, building heads down for quite some time, and then like, I mean, just take a step back, like, by if you go by 2017, and even now, like, only now with Ethereum ecosystem, the products have kind of started rolling out. But till 2018 also, or even 19, many of the projects in the blockchain space which used to raise like tens of millions of dollars in funding, they actually were more of research white papers done by some sort of scientist and all that, and nobody really had a focus on delivering and building that really can be used. Like, it was more of a, like, oh yeah, we are building this consensus, that consensus, this will be better finality, better this, better that. But then they were not focused on building a product which actually gets used. And I think that has been our thesis. Like, our thesis did not start from that we want to build this kind of blockchain. Our thesis start from, like, how can we build how can we build a blockchain infrastructure which can bring hundreds and hundreds of applications, even thousands of applications building on top of it, and millions of users using it. And that's where our journey started. Even right from the start, the solution design or the product that we wanted to build was basically based on not only building this layer 2 for payments only, which everyone was doing at that point in time, and many had raised like tens of millions of dollars on white papers, but we were looking to build and deliver something which is actually useful for the developer. So we started building that, let's not only do payments on the layer 2, but build smart contracts, try to build smart contracts on the layer 2, because that's the actual scalability. Because so again taking a sidestep on that why exactly smart contracts on layer 2, right? So I mean, if you see blockchains, Bitcoin is the first blockchain, right? But if you see from the angle of business logic, right, Bitcoin blockchain executes one business logic, which is, or maybe a couple of two three more, but primarily the logic is currency, that I paid you $50, my balance is equals to my balance minus 50, and your balance is equal to your balance plus 50, in a very rough sense. And this is one kind of business logic. What Ethereum came and brought to this world is that, how about I create a general business logic execution layer which is decentralized like Bitcoin, uncontrollable, whatever, right, not dictated by one single party, and then you can do it, right? And then we all know that Ethereum is very decentralized, secure, but has scalability issues. So what Polygon started to do is that, we wanted to provide this entire Ethereum development capability on this layer 2, basically, right? So that's where we started, and we also were very much focused on building something that gets used and all that. And there were a lot of nuances in between. Like, it took us a lot of time. We were not from the Silicon Valley. We did not have like fancy big VCs supporting us, so we could not. And that actually worked in our favor, because what big
You guys were
yeah,
scrappy.
what like, that the blockchains built by, or which are supported by big VCs, they actually go from top down, right? They will talk to top projects, top applications, and convince them to build on them, right? And then they will start from here. But we did not have that choice. We had to go from the very bottom layer of the developers, individual developers who are working on hackathons, developers which are two people teams, not only from US, I mean, all across the world, especially in the Southeast Asia side and all that, and help them to kind of build. So what happened is that when a large number of these bought, and we converted it into like some sort of opportunity into adversity or something like that, right? So as the saying goes, that we
Hmm.
actually started working with these people. These people provided a lot of feedback, lot of tooling related comments, which we realized that, okay, developers need this, okay, let's build this, let's build this.
Yeah.
And soon, and slowly and steadily, after like 1.5 years of alpha mainnet and beta mainnet, we launched our mainnet. And then even on mainnet, we did like 3 to 6 months of iterations of this tooling and all that. And then like a little bit of luck that by that time Ethereum was seeing second or third wave of like this high gas prices, and people were like, the first time it happened and then it dipped, people were like, okay, it was a one time phenomena. But then it happened second time, the third time, then people realized something needs to be done. And by that time, because of this bottom up approach, we were fully production ready. And if you ask me what is the reason for Polygon
Yeah.
success, because we are production ready, and we are getting more and more production ready for building applications. Today all the major wallets in the industry are supporting Polygon. All the infrastructure providers, middleware providers are supporting Polygon. Exchanges have integrated into Polygon. Now if you are, as a developer, you want to really build an application, Polygon is by far the obvious choice to build on.
So you were production ready, and it perfectly coincided with the issues that Ethereum was facing in DeFi and all of these dApps coming and trying to build in DeFi. And what ended up happening was, as you noted, and as we've been noting here at Forkast, was that gas fees were just getting to astronomical levels. It just became so enormously expensive, and there were lags in the system. So for developers, this was a problem. For dApps, this was a problem.
Exactly.
Because you were able to have production ready, you already had projects working with Polygon that was production ready, and all of a sudden you're in this beautiful eye of the storm and you had the right answers.
Yes.
When did you start realizing that, wow, we're really onto something here? And it's coming, and this is real. This is really happening. I'm going to pinch myself. Is this really happening? It's really happening. At what moment did you realize that?
I would not say that that happened in that sense, because even when we had not exploded, we still had 100 plus applications. So we had a hunch. We in fact had this, in fact, the reverse feeling that why is this not happening to us? This should happen. This should happen 3 months back. Why is this not happening? Right. And it actually was in the
Yes.
reverse direction, that pinch me, like, is it not happening? Why? And we realized that the reason that is like, because we are not from Silicon Valley, and then like the Western audience did not take us that seriously also, to be honest. For a long time, like 6 months or so, it was a big meme on the crypto Twitter, that people are just sleeping on Polygon. Like every other day some big application is launching on Polygon, and people were dead silent, nobody talking about it, no media talks about Polygon, whatever, right? And then we kind of, it's not like it happened automatically. Like we then took a big shot. We did all of the things that we could have done, but it was not working. Then we went to, we were already talking to many applications, when we decided that we have to go all in now, right? And then we went to Aave. We put a big stake on the table. We said that, okay, if you guys build here, we will provide liquidity mining incentives to your users and whatnot, and let's see how it goes, right? And then Aave agreed that, okay, if you are bringing this much skin in the game on the table, like as a community, we are like happy to explore. And the moment they came, and that was kind of the basic money Legos, and like seeing their success, and there was already some level of community on Polygon. Our community was already pretty big. They were just waiting for something like this, and when people really started experiencing it, it like really took off to the next level. So I would say that it happened in the reverse. Actually, we were like just crying that why is it not happening.
You're pinching yourself, like, what's going on? But it's here, it's happened. And Matic is the token that is internally driving your ecosystem. Why is that integral? Now you have Matic, and now you have that on top of ETH. How is that part of the strategy?
So basically, Matic is a proof of stake token, right? So we are a transaction based platform, right? And like Ethereum is more of a settlement layer where ETH itself has a monetary value and all that. Whereas Polygon token is more of a transaction, a proof of stake token, which is expected to grow in value when more and more transactions are there, right? So that's why we want to be the execution layer where this business logic executes. It settles, the final settlements can happen on Ethereum, but the smaller level transactions, think of it like, you swiping your card in a mall and all that, and then the mall's internal system is consolidating all the kind of internal transactions and then settling it on the larger banking network. So our thesis is that Ethereum is going to remain, because the kind of network effects that Ethereum has, like, is just too big, and Ethereum is going to be that settlement layer. And then solutions like Polygon are going to be those kind of constellations, or you can call them as subnets, where these executions will take place, and only when they need to come out to the mainstream, like global internet, which would be Ethereum in this case, they will those transactions will come and settle into Ethereum with some proof that, okay, something like this already happened. So I mean, that is the long term thesis. So Matic token is basically the proof of stake token, which means that people stake that token to become validators on these networks. Validators means miners on this network. So you stake tokens and you become a miner. And if this solution on which you are mining, if the revenue on that chain goes bigger and bigger, you get to make more and more money on the money stake, right? And then as and when the revenue on the transaction revenue on that chain grows bigger and bigger, more people want to join this network and stake that network, and kind of mine that network, right? So it automatically keeps growing. The value accrual keeps happening to the Matic network. Why that token is important is to provide that network a security. All these proof of stake systems basically are very simple. There's only one concept, that you have to put something at stake, and then you can do some work. If you do some wrong work, your stake can be fortified or slashed. That's the simple concept of proof of stake. In proof of work, what happens, that when you do some work, if you do wrong work, your block production is simply discarded, and you lose out on the electricity that you spent to mine the block. In proof of stake, you don't spend anything, too much computation. That's the second stage of this. That's why you say that proof of stake is less and is environment friendly and all that. They'll consume less energy. That you put the stake, the computation is not that costly. You just compute. But if you compute wrongly, then you are slashed. So Matic token is for that only. Basically, all of these constellations, like Polygon is a multi-chain network. All of these multiple chains which will be connecting back to Ethereum will be run using a proof of stake token, which is Matic token. So Matic token is basically, as I was saying, that it's a proof of stake token, which you as a validator would want to stake in the network, and then derive your like transaction fees with that. And that's the use of any proof of stake token, and Matic network is like that. The good thing about Matic token is that since it's a multi-chain ecosystem, in no other proof of stake system, as a validator, you get a chance to be validating and earning transaction fees from multiple networks. Here, that's why we feel that eventually the validator ecosystem will be very big for this network, because you being a staker is able to run various different kinds of networks and be able to participate in earning transaction fees on various different kinds of networks. And those people, like, sometimes, like, this is also a good exercise for people who understand how the valuations of the networks are derived. I can give a very simple business model that, think of it as a, like, how much transaction fees a particular token or the transaction is, or the network is generating, right? And generally, let's say a particular network is generating $100 million in transaction fees, and let's assume that that 5% is a, acceptable market return in the condition. So for to earn $100 million of fees, you would basically be ready to stake somewhere around $2 billion, for it to be 5% of your return on the capital, right? So $2 billion will be staked in the network, and then generally a proof of stake network has 50% of the amount staked. So this 50% of which total supply is staked. So this network will basically be worth $4 billion, right? 50% of it staked, that means $2 billion is staked, and then 100 million of gas is being produced in the network, or fees is produced in the network. These $2 billion worth of stakers make 5% a year, right? I'm talking about 100 million per year, in terms of the transaction fees. That's how and it's easier to rate and gauge the valuation of proof of stake networks. Plus you have, like, you can add premium, whatever, in the stock markets people add. So that's how you will, in future, you will be valuing proof of stake network.
And
So
because
that
it's multi-chain, you actually have many, many
many
networks that are
transactions.
actually fueling the ultimate value. I guess this is why all of a sudden Silicon Valley and all the VCs are perking up and paying attention.
Hopefully so, yes.
Well, listen, we're talking as well now that Ethereum London hard fork is live. And Polygon really took advantage of the time, when gas fees were high, when the system was a little laggy, and really created that kind of increased frictionless and seamless and cheaper, frankly, way to transact on Ethereum. And now with Ethereum London hard fork, doesn't that undermine what you've built?
No, so first of all, I think there's a confusion. London fork is not ETH 2.0. ETH 2.0 is still, at least 2 to 3, perhaps some people say 5 years away from here. London fork is basically an activation of one important gas calculation way, the way gas markets work on Ethereum. London hard fork basically introduces that EIP 1559, which essentially has a new mechanics. Like previously we had a simple gas auction market, like whoever pays the highest gas, he gets his transactions to include. But now, because people then start paying higher and higher, and nobody really knows how much minimum I should pay, then they created this new mechanism, which is very complicated to get into. But basically now you have a base fees mechanism, and on top of that you can pay some small tip. So basically, but you get to
Right.
know that, okay, this is the base fees. So, and then they burn that base fees. Due to that, like, overall there's a lot of enthusiasm in the Ethereum community and all that. But coming back to ETH 2.0, scenario, even if, let's say, ETH 2.0 is live in an optimistic case, let's say in 2.5 years from now, even then, basically ETH 2.0 is what basically you are going to have 64 shards of Ethereum, and each shard will act as the current Ethereum chain, right? Or maybe a little bit more optimized. So current Ethereum chain has roughly 13 transactions per second. Let's assume that it kind of grows by, it becomes 30 transactions per chain, like it grows double, and each chain with proof of stake becomes 30 transactions per second, right? And then 64 shards will still make it like 1800 transactions per second. And now with ETH 2.0, ETH, you are expecting the expectation of ETH is the global settlement layer or the global computer, right? Visa, for example, has 50,000 transactions per second alone, which is only processing Visa transactions. Here on Ethereum, you are expecting that there will be the games, there will be financial markets, there will be exchanges, and everybody will be
Yeah.
executing on this with 1800 transactions per second. No, right? So the point I'm trying to make here is that even if Ethereum's scalability grows by a factor of 100, right, which has to be seen, even in the short run, like 2 3 years, the demand is already thousands of x than that, and you would need these secondary level scalability solutions, or subnets, if you will, which would where people will be running their business logic, their applications, and they will be settling back to let's say Ethereum. For example, Reddit is choosing some layer 2 solution right now, right? I mean, that Reddit's the layer 2 solution that Reddit is choosing, like Reddit alone can consume, let's say, daily hundreds of TPS alone. Like if an application like Reddit goes big on Ethereum main chain, so that's why Reddit has chosen a layer 2. So that's why you will always need these secondary layers or subnets on top of Ethereum where applications will run.
So let's pull out for a more general audience here, investors and more from the traditional space. Obviously the valuation of Polygon is super interesting. This entire world and the opportunity of layer 2 and the interoperability, as you say, the smart contract, the smart computing that changes the business logic is another. Where do you see this space in the next 12 to 24 months, and why is this space super important to pay attention to? And I think you flagged some of them,
Yeah.
which is, first it was DeFi, then it was NFTs, now it's Metaverses, and who knows what's
Yeah,
next? And all of
yeah,
it,
yeah. And
where
we
do you see
now,
it's going?
yeah, we have so many product market fits. NFT itself is such a big use case. Like gaming, for example, many, like on Netflix there is a documentary that gaming industry in total is like so big that it is actually the entire Hollywood industry, entire NFL, entire NBA combined. And then multiple of such industries combined, gaming industry is bigger than that. Gaming is going to be like, if you see the upcoming generation, gaming is so big, they spend so much of their time of their lives in gaming and these metaverses, right? Everybody has, like, I talk to my cousins who are like, let's say 10 years younger than me. They are more confident about their pseudo identity that they have, like ADX and ADX or some, like, different kind of names, right? So these people are going to be blockchain native, and in 12 to 30, 12 to 24 months, it's still a very early time. But I feel that in 24 months a very big super cycle is going to come, which is enterprises. And I think Paul Brody and Ernst and Young has done a really great job at educating the enterprise community that private blockchains are a misnomer. It's like saying a dead alive man, like, doesn't exist. And if, as an enterprise, you really need to derive some value out of these blockchain solutions, it has to be on a public blockchain. Now you need privacy, you need scalability. Yes, we all are building on it. So I feel 2020, I mean 12 to, not 12 months, but 18 to 24 months, there will be few enterprises which will have actual value generating use cases on these blockchains, and most of them would be probably be funded by, or kind of being run on some sort of zero knowledge technology. That's why we at Polygon also, we have invested so much of our time, energy, and resources in the last 6 months in zero knowledge space, that and then now we are in a stage where in 2 to 3 months you will see Polygon will emerge as the powerhouse of zero knowledge in the whole industry, because we have like kind of accumulated so much of teams acquired and acquisitions and whatnot, that now we will come out in our with our ZK stuff. And remember what I said, that we spend a lot of time in building and all that, and when we are ready, then only we come out at towards certain extent, then only we come out to public. So zero knowledge
Yeah.
technology very big, and enterprises very big. And then in the short run, NFTs will are going to run this entire show of bringing the traditional world to blockchains. That's
But
what
that
I'm
speaks
looking at.
to also the competition. I mean, to your point, these innovations are scaling ecosystem of Ethereum at such a fast pace. I'm curious what your take is on the various projects jumping in right now to kind of challenge you guys at Polygon to scale Ethereum. Do you think that more options are better for the ecosystem, or do you think it's creating yet another wild west that we at Forkast.News are always tracking, the hackers, the exploits, the rug pulls? What do you think it's going to do for the ecosystem?
See, I mean, we at Polygon are like hardcore Ethereum fans also. So for us, like any other people building Ethereum scaling technology, it's a net positive for the ecosystem. Even
Mm.
we are reaching out to the teams who are building these layer two solutions, that if you want, like, we can Polygon ecosystem with validators and all that can run your your solutions also, or a copy of your solution where people can use your solution on our chain also, and there can be mechanics to do that. So on Ethereum side, I definitely like, we are very much confident and happy if more people are adding value to Ethereum. Like, there are, like, the other thing is, I think you might also be alluding to, is that Ethereum competitors, right? Like some of the applications trying to build Ethereum competing solutions and all that. And I think all of them are very, very early stage, and all of them actually are trying to build Ethereum implementation. Like everyone is trying to build some sort of EVM on their chain, so that they can say that, hey, we are also close to Ethereum. And if you are Ethereum, because like, the fact of the matter is 95 to 99% of all the developers in the space are Ethereum developers. When you say somebody calling himself as a Ethereum blockchain developer, he is most likely, when you dig down, he is more of a Ethereum developer, right? So it is like that huge, the dominance of Ethereum. And we feel that, I mean, even now, like, even though a lot of other chains are throwing so much of money on these different kind of solutions, but I have not met many. I mean, although it's a strong statement, but I have not met many self-respecting teams who want to build on these chains. Like, self-respecting team means some team which actually genuinely wants to build a product and genuinely wants to acquire users and build a business model. I'm not talking about the team who just want to do some sort of token, and then they are taking some grant and doing a token, and then the token does its own financial market cycle, and people make money and all that. So those applications I see, but good applications I see very, very few. I could probably count on my fingers that who all are building on those
Yeah,
these.
I mean, I think increasingly the knowledge in this space is expanding, and that credibility is being built by where people are migrating, where people choose to create their dApps and to develop, which speaks to Polygon. This is why it really seemed like an overnight sensation that took a decade, because all of a sudden there were so many projects that seemed to be launching on Polygon. I'm curious, and just to even pull out a little bigger outside of, what you're building. You're building something that is, integral in blockchain, and yet, you come from a country in India that, is so uber talented, that has talent like you, and yet, we had the Reserve Bank of India ban cryptocurrency, ban crypto firms and blockchain firms and from banking.
Yeah.
And now we also have policy that is waiting on the wings, that policymakers and lawmakers are still debating about. And there's a lot of concern about India and where it's going. Where do you see it? Do you think
I
that you
think
could
most of
have?
that. I think most of that
Yeah,
is
go ahead.
media sensationalism. Actually, like, I'm from India, and generally, I would say 95% of any team that is building out of India either know me or I know them, and I know what they are doing. They reach out to me for investments and all that. And I've not found even a single team which is trying to build some technology related solution being haggled by the government. Like, it's that nobody has been touched upon by the government. The government is only trying to curb, or trying to figure out that how to stop this speculation or kind of gambling, which ends up, which nobody can deny, that a lot of retail loses their money in this. And then, when people see this 100, 200, 300% returns, a lot of retail ends up doing like activities like putting their student loans or house on mortgage and try to do that. So government is trying to do that. Plus, it also definitely promotes a lot of black market, and which India has a history of. Like, some people say that we have a $5 trillion economy. I mean, now, like, maybe 3 4 million trillion dollar economy, and we have the equivalent of that in the black markets, which is in the cash and not on the books.
Mm,
The government
mm,
has
mm,
been
mm.
trying to do that. The moment you introduce crypto into that, boom, like, they're all 10 years of hard work in that building technology and all that, everything goes for a toss, right? So they are trying to protect that, although they will have to realize soon that there is this is like, this genie is out of the box. Like, you can't do anything about it. You have to you have to join them.
Yeah, I get it. But where's that fine line where you don't come down too hard? Certainly, we're talking black and white. That's what people hear. There's
Yeah.
a lot of gray space. But where is that fine line because potentially Matic could be banned
No,
if
I mean,
it's going to be so
yeah.
expansive. And how are you going to get that that
Yeah.
value out
Correct, correct.
potentially?
So first of all, for Matic network, for example, even though we never really although the research center initially was in India, but then we never really had any crypto bindings into the our company, token company, everything was out of India. And secondly, we were not doing any business. It's like a technology company doing some research in India. It's not like the real business being done there. And then we, as co-founders, like now we have a co-founder from Europe. All of us three co-founders are out of India, in various locations. We have our teams in Europe, in US. Now we have a big team, and various other parts of the world. So Polygon or Matic network is very, very decentralized in that sense. Like nobody can really force anyone to do anything in that. But on the other side also, on regulation side, I definitely feel that government will come with a stronger regulation which will make harder for people to trade and all that. But then they also know that this is going to be a big market, so they are not touching the technology aspects of it. Like we do hundreds and hundreds of hackathons, we've never faced any problems in India. So, and those are like properly blockchain hackathons. So I don't see that
Yeah.
there is any problem with that. Yeah. One more thing, like Polygon, for example, is a multi-chain environment, right? So it's not like people generally any other solution you see, they have one particular kind of chain. So because of that multi-chain environment, government of India, for example, if you and state of Maharashtra, which has, I think it will have almost one third of the population of US, right? I mean, like almost 100 million people, right? And their all of their RT-PCR tests are checked on blockchain on Polygon, right? So they have built an application which uses, if you move from one place to another, somebody has done a PCR test, they put it on blockchain, and it's being used on Polygon blockchain. And since we are a multi-chain ecosystem, we actually see a different kind of structure. We feel that someday or the other, like we are like still not in those stages, but sooner or later we'll reach the stage where we will be working with Indian government and helping them to build out some of these blockchain infrastructure, right? So
Yeah.
on the technology front, I'm not worried at all. On trading front, definitely there will be some more stronger regulation. I don't expect an outright ban at all from where I see it.
But even your personal choice of living outside India, and I promise your family did not put me up to asking you this question, is indicative of what would happen if you think that if India was a little bit more receptive and more crypto friendly, and this kind of impasse was resolved. Do you think you'd ever go back? And do you think that potentially the environment, the ecosystem, the brain trust in India could thrive in India instead of having to leave it?
Yeah. This fact I completely agree that soon Indian government has to realize that the brain drain in the blockchain space is so big, because you are not building for your local users, right? So you are not delivering food to the houses. You are actually do building for the globe. You're not bound with the anything local. So it's so easy for entrepreneurs to simply take a flight, 2 hour flight, and go out of India. Brain drain is going to be very big. And this part, and you use the right word, this impasse, right? Or kind of this uncertainty around it. Like for example, I would never want to live out of India. I want to go back to India, work from there, grow the ecosystem there, right? But then due to this uncertainty, and I'm not saying there's anything positive or negative, there is uncertainty, nobody knows. And then
Mm-hmm.
Polygon is now so
Mm-hmm.
big, like a top 20 project worldwide. We can't take any kind of chances as responsible co-founders into it, right? So even though now we don't control any part of the network, like we only run some research side of things, but then it can be perceived very negatively. So that's why we decided that, okay, we'll decentralize ourselves, we'll be outside, our teams are pretty global and all that. But you are very right, if Indian government provided a clarity and we could do it all in India, I'm not sure, like maybe a larger amount of our workforce now, which will be like only 40% Indian, it could remain like even more like 70-80% Indian, so which India
Well,
is losing on those jobs.
well, maybe welcome back those prodigal sons and daughters to India.
Hopefully.
One day. Sandeep, hey, thank you so much for joining us, deep diving into Polygon, into this incredible world, and just I think the secret to your success, being production ready at a time when the ecosystem needed it most. I mean, you were a product market fit and you were a solution to a problem.
Yep.
Sandeep, thank you so much for joining us. That's Sandeep Nailwal from Polygon.
And we keep coming back. So, I mean, we had one success, I mean, quite a 2-3 kinds of levels of success previously, but now the next stage for us is the zero knowledge, right? So, hopefully that would, again, proving
we're going to welcome you back to the show and talk about zero knowledge proof.
Yeah,
that is
absolutely.
100%.
Absolutely.
You are
Thank
welcome
you so
back
much.
anytime.
Thank you so
Sandeep,
much.
it was great having you. And thank you, everyone, for coming to spend some time with us on Word on the Block. It was great to have you here. I'm Editor-in-Chief Angie Lau. Until the next time.
Thank you.
Why stop there? Click here for another top story making headlines this week in the world of blockchain. And to see our complete playlist, click here. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button to never miss one of our daily updates.